Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt. I do a weekly television show called Team Chicago Challenge. My website is teamchicago.tv, teamchicago.tv. My email is teamdan45@gmail.com. I'm always interested in hearing from my audience. And remember, on YouTube, there's plenty of motorcycle clips that I have produced up there. So you can always search with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing for great motorcycle racing action on YouTube. Now I am joined again with my granddaughter Heather. Heather is my daughter's daughter, Bridget, and we're going to start looking at another production that I did for the Peoria Motorcycle Club.
So Grandpa, I wanted to ask you about Peoria and the video that we saw. I had a couple of questions about that. Where did you find the people that are narrating? How did you do the music involved? How did you put that production together?
Well, the Peoria Motorcycle, I've been racing Peoria on and off many, many times. It's one of my favorite racetracks. The Peoria Motorcycle Clubs, one of the oldest AMA motorcycle clubs. They got together in 1931. As I was talking to Dave Kiesel, who was one of the partners at Illinois Harley-Davidson, he mentioned that they had a history book. So it basically is a magazine-sized thing that the club put together in the 1950s, talking about the history. Well, then I approached someone in the club, because in the meantime, I picked up some old vintage motorcycle footage. So I approached the club, I gave them a price, I said I could produce a video using this magazine, this booklet that they created, and we could do a video and the club could sell this video. I mean, it was pretty ambitious. I don't know what I charged them, but it was a good amount of money. And I knew I had the footage. I knew I had the capability.
Right.
The footage that you're looking at is vintage footage that I got. In fact, Ted Keeper sent me some films that were converted over. And I've been accumulating all this footage from many different sources, because when I see an old motorcycle film of racing, to me that's important.
Yeah.
So, and then I had the guideline. So what I assembled, and now I think back and I'm looking at this with you today, I wrote all those scripts. I hired someone to do voiceovers. I had Jim Viverito and George Mack also do some voiceovers. I had this one gal do 3 or 4 different voices. Even my wife Joyce did one of the voices. And we told the story from 1931 at the club. First they were putting on 100-mile races, and then they were putting on the National TT.
Right.
But what I'm going to show you now is just a little clip, maybe 2 minutes of what I produced, and then you'll hear some of the different voices. And I think I'm pretty proud of what I did. And
on a late summer evening during the year 1931, 8 enthusiastic motorcycle riders assembled for the sole purpose of founding an organization to be known thereafter as the Peoria Motorcycle Club. The first undertaking was the application for a club charter from the American Motorcycle Association. The charter was immediately granted, and the club was officially put on the AMA record as charter number 34. The first members of this club include Jimmy Burton, Charlie Timmerman, Chuck Bell, Al Trive, Tommy Hughes, Mickey McGrath, and Harold Walker. The dues for this club were $1 per year. The meetings were held about once a month at Chuck Bell's Indian Shop in the 1200 block of North Adams Street. With the initial tasks completed, the club began to discuss future events and the possible enlargement of the organization. One of the events they had was a mud run at Spring Bay.
On August 18th, 1935, we rode the 74 Harley to Oquaca, Illinois to our first hill climb, which was sponsored by the Galesboro Motorcycle Club. Incidentally, they also had a 25-cent ticket for a chance on a new 1935 Harley. We will never forget it. We were very enthusiastic about our new motorcycling life. I was so amazed by the motorcycle going up that hill. They timed the motorcycles and the fastest one up the hill won. There were Indians, Harley Davidsons, and some other brands I never heard of. I did not know there were so many kinds of motorcycles. There was a lot of people at this hill climb, and we, the club and all, had a great time. The summer was indeed busy. Part of my initiation to be a member of the club was standing downtown with other members selling tickets for the Peoria Motorcycle Club race, which also included a chance on winning a motorcycle. Verna Morning, 1935.
So, Grandpa, I'm looking at all these pictures, and it looks like you did a lot of ice racing. So tell me about that.
Well, as you read there, it says, Under the Lights, The Steel Shoe, Lake Koshkanan, and CWIRA. I think in 2004, I shot more ice racing than any other year. The Saturday night, they ran Saturday nights under the light, and I showed that some of that footage. CWIRA is the Central Wisconsin Ice Race Association, and they do a race every week at a different location. So it's always new ice. It's probably 60% ATVs and 40% motorcycles. And you start at noon, but 4 o'clock it starts getting dark. So they run a program. I mean,
right.
It's a Central Wisconsin Ice Race. It's different clubs, and we would go to different. But I could race Saturday night at Lake Koshkanan, which is Fort Atkinson, then go on Sunday somewhere else. Plus the steel shoe. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to put together a little 3 minutes or something like that, showing the steel shoe footage from then, a CWIR race from then, and just some footage from that era, because I was very lucky. I mean, I have been ice racing. I started promoting ice racing in 1977 at the Mineola.
Wow.
So I have raced thousands of miles on the ice.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So let's check that out right now.
Pro Vet is for riders over 30 years old, any size motorcycles. These guys are charging. Up front, it's like Tim Farrell. Tim Farrell on that Illinois Harley Davidson, Berwyn, Illinois. Tim lives in Oak Park, Illinois, from the Chicagoland area. Tim's a go fast, running second. There's Scott Winkler. Pat Bean is on the charge. Pat Bean takes the outside line. Scott Winkler's on the inside. Who's got the drive? Who's got the charge? Down low. That's Cliff Eckes moving down on the inside. Tim Farrell is checked out. He's up front. But the battle for second, Pat Bean. You got Brad Severs right there. What a battle for third right now. 3 bikes, Brad Severs, Cliff Eckes, Tim Farrell is checked out. He goes on to pick up the win in Pro Vet. Outlaw Pro Rubber. The majority of these riders from northern Wisconsin, a lot of Anago riders, running these 3-wheelers. Up front, number 2, that's Scott Lindner, making the move down low. Got that 4-wheeler up high. 4-wheelers on the charge. Moves down on the inside, gets the lead. That's Guy Robus on the 4-wheeler, but moving back. What a charge, Scott Lindner. Guy Robus, he's taking that outside line, getting on the gas. These are unstudded. And look at the traction they get. These guys are hauling the bacon. Guy Robus up front again. Scott Lindner looking for some traction. Look at that 3-wheeler goes. He pitches it in. Looking for that traction, bending them tires. Heading on the front straight. It's like he's picking up the win. For riders over 30, any size motorcycle, and I happen to have the smallest bike, this 125 Amy Pinkowski Kawasaki. These guys are gone, but I'm not going to give up. Let's see if I can catch these guys. First two out of this Consi make it to the final. 17 riders entered. Got to make it past. Try this outside line. Stay on the outside. Get on the gas. Get on the gas. Get by one. One lap to go. Stay on the outside. Get on the gas, Dan. One more bike. Take that outside line. Get on the gas. Get on the gas. And I pick up the win in the B-Bet Consi. 53 teams, 3 waves. Lightweight bikes, there were 11. 250s, there were 16. And the open class bikes, there was 26 bikes. First wave is off. Second wave, the 250s. Third wave, open class. Charge it. Next up front, the Lake Country Power Sports Honda. It's a 125, bumped up to maybe 167. But they're the early leaders. 21 running second. These are the 125s. They had Big Dog Racing. Some of the 250s are now catching up and charging through. Some of the big bikes are catching up. Like J.R. Schnabel, one of the top 5-track racers in the country, finishing the top 10, I believe, on the AMA National Circuit. Second place, that's Gruber team, KSI Racing. Looks like they've got Carlson on the bike to start out. Up front, Tyler Smolters with that Lake Country Power Sports Honda is still leading.
So, Grandpa, I wanted to ask too about this. It says, George Bush for president, Alan Keyes for Senate, vote Republican, Yamaha R-6. That looks very interesting.
It is 2004.
Right.
George Bush is running for president. I'm trying to lend a hand because fake news, the evil media, even though George Bush is so middle of the road, so moderate. I mean, he did have conservative ideals, but he was a moderate guy. He never, and they hated him too.
Right.
But what people got to realize, the media, fake news, hates all Republicans.
Yeah. Well, Grandpa, it looked like your plan worked, and George Bush did win. So. Well,
I will take credit for his reelection. George Bush turned out to be a pretty good president. Not as quite conservative as I would like, but an honorable guy.
Yeah.
And they hated him. They hated him.
Right.
You know, So what are you looking at there?
So here we are now in 2005, and it looks like you're in Colorado. And that brings up the question for me, when are we going to go?
Well,
you know I want to.
My good friend, Rob Williams, who worked with George Mack, who's been around, ice raced with us. I mean, he's one of our friends. He met Jeff Thorson. Jeff Thorson is doing, if you wanted to ride Colorado, you could get a hold of Jeff, and he'd put together a whole package, and you could go out there, and you got to pay him a few dollars. But he provided lunch, dinner, campsite, and so I was invited to go out there. They provided me with a 175 Kawasaki to ride.
Right.
Rob Williams was there. Rob's wife was there. As you can see, this picture I'm showing you right now. I mean, if that isn't $1 million smile.
Yeah.
And we rode for 2 days in Colorado. So I'm going to show a little bit of footage of that ride.
I told
boy, this is some great riding, great trails, great valleys, great mountains, great wood sections. As we see Dave come flashing by. He's the leader of the group. And I'll tell you, it's really nice having people with you that know the trails, know where to go. Here comes Rob, and Terry, and Jeff. Blazing the trails, knowing where the good trails are, and what beautiful scenery as Dave continues to lead the pack, break trail. They head on out in this big valley. Terry looks great. She's having big fun, no doubt about it.
Well, Grandpa, I can say you're an extremely lucky man for being able to ride and have all of these experiences.
Well, I'll tell you, like I said, we will do Colorado. You get your dirt bike, I'll get my dirt bike.
For sure.
We'll set the tires up, we'll slime the tires so that we can ride, and that would be a great week trip for 10 days. We should take 10 days. Well, you got vacation coming.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, next year or the year.
It.
Yes.
For
We'll
sure.
even take Brandon with.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Right.
So, tell me about AutoBahn. Where exactly is that too? Is that right outside of Chicago?
It's in Joliet. I don't know if they're using Joliet. Brand new racetrack. In 2005, we're scheduled a race there. Closest race to Chicago for me. And my good friend, Bruner, who's a genuine go-fast motorcycle racer. In fact, they were talking to him about riding a Team Jordan. So he's got Team Jordan leathers.
Right.
Michael Jordan, the motorcycle racer. You know, Michael Jordan, the basketball player, right? Well, I take claim because I'm sure when he lived in Highland Park and was watching Team Chicago Challenge on TV. Now, he said he rode dirt bikes when he was a kid. But I'm sure when he seen that guy with the TV show, that older gentleman racing motorcycles, he said, man, I want to do that. And you notice when he played baseball, he had number 45.
That is cool. Wow.
But anyhow, he created Team Jordan Racing. They did talk to 4 and 6, but Bruner rode with me. So let's show a little clip of racing, the first race ever at AutoBahn. Let's check that out. Bruner has come down to join Team Chicago to meet the challenge of AutoBahn on the 4 and 6 prepared Yamaha dealers, Yamaha R-6.
My name is Bruner. We're at AutoBahn Raceway today, running with Team Chicago. It's a really nice track, first time here, a little bit bumpy, but we'll make a good time out of it.
Wait for Boyd to come back in the pits, and here he is, Justin Marm from 5150. Phil Caldwell is off SMP. He's giving us a hand. Alan's there. His dad is holding the fire extinguisher. It's my time to do battle. So head on out, AutoBahn Country Club. I had a full day of practice on Friday, and I'm getting around pretty good. Now this is a downhill, sorta, then uphill. You go over this bridge, little bump, yellow flag, got a bike off course. And you got this kink to the left. There's a bike sitting on the outside. And you got a double apex right. Got the back chute with a kink right here in the middle. You stay on the gas. this corner you can really brake late. 2 downshifts. Back on the gas. Swing it through here. Right, left. Get on the gas. Shift up. Shift up again. And this is where I was doing some great out-braking. Staying to the 3rd cone. Locking them up. Getting through here. Boom. Right, left. Flip this inside and you're back on the front straightaway.
So I'm looking at Dealer News, and it says here it was published in 2006. It says, Terry Taylor, Tale of a Flim-Flam Man, by Dan Schmitt, crime fighter and criminal journalist, cracking the case on Terry Taylor. So you have to tell me about this.
I added that white area.
Right.
I'm showing that right now. Because I wanted, Terry Taylor was going around Chicago selling advertising for a TV show he was going to put on Fox News.
Right.
So he's like stepping on my toes because I'm the guy doing Team Chicago Challenge, a TV show in Chicago, and I'm charging a little bit of money to everybody, but the price he was asking were not enough. That was one thing. He told Mike at Rich's Yamaha, that it was going to be on Channel 32 at 11 o'clock at night. You know, regular broadcast station. And it was going to be a motorcycle show about motorcycles. Well, he told Mike that he was going to be exclusive Yamaha. Then Mike finds out he's going to other Yamaha dealers. So they're mentions to me, and I'm looking at, because I would stop by Rich's Yamaha once a month to collect my bill. So I started paying attention. Well, it turns out, and the real crime fighter is Mike and Rich from Rich's Yamaha. Because there was a production crew by them that were going to Hanayama River Oaks and said he was going to be there, Terry Taylor. Well, he was scamming everybody. He was scamming the TV station, Fox News, Fox in Chicago, Channel 32. He was scamming the producers of these ads, all the dealers, and there was no TV show.
That's crazy.
So Mike and Rich are the real heroes. They went to Hanayama River Oaks and they demanded their money back, that they gave him $1,000 down. He said, well, I got to go to my hotel and get it. Mike jumped in his car. Rich followed. They got to the hotel. When they got to the hotel, he didn't have any money, he had no way of getting any money. They took his luggage, and they took a box of records and said, bring the money tomorrow.
Right.
And you can have your stuff back. They held it hostage.
Good.
I'm the one that advised Mike that we should go through them records, find other dealers that are ripped off, because the FBI told Mike when he called the FBI that they can't get involved unless there's $50,000 worth of criminal activity. So we start counting these other dealers, and it added up to $100,000 worth of scam. So now the FBI was interested.
Right.
When I finally wrote that story, Terry Taylor already did 2.5 years in the clink. Mike went all the way to the East Coast to testify. He got a 5-year sentence, got out in 2.5 years. 3 dealers read the article that came out later.
Right.
And Terry Taylor is back doing the same thing, so he got rearrested. So I take a little bit of credit of writing the article, working with Mike. So I am a criminal reporter and I am a crime fighter. Well, that's the story about Terry Taylor. And I think we're running out of time, but I take great pride that we got a scumbag off the street. Right. So you read the article, what do you think?
I think it's amazing what you did, number one, because it's not right for people to be ripping people off like that, number one. Number two, I just think it's kind of badass that my grandpa did that, honestly, and wrote an article about it. So, Yeah, very interesting, and I'm surprised I've never heard of that before.
Well, you know, there's so many things I get involved with that you sometimes forget about it, but like I said, Mike and Rich are like real good friends. I mean, Misty is Mike's daughter, and she's a real good friend of mine. And you know, they put on the rides out there. So I have so much a good time with them people. And when this was happening, I hated to see them losing some money.
Right.
And the smartest one of all was Mike jumping in the car, going back to the hotel, or else he would have disappeared.
Right, he would have just ran.
And then having those records.
Yeah.
And I was there, I was advising Mike all along. We would talk on the phone also, and I said, no, you got to stop this.
Yeah.
Which, let me give you one statement. And this is one of my statement from the founding fathers. Evil can only exist when good men do nothing.
Thank you, Heather, for helping me produce these great TV shows about the history of racing. For more information on the Central Wisconsin Ice Race Association, it's CWIRA.com. The Steel Shoe 3-hour is steelshoefun.org. Jeff Thorson is now living in Western Colorado. To contact him, go to www.westcor.co. Westcor, Western Colorado Riders and Enthusiasts. For more information on WERA, America's road race leader, it's WERA.com. WERA.com for more information on motorcycle road racing. To contact me, it's teamdan45@gmail.com. I love hearing from my audience, and I appreciate your comments. Remember, you can always search on YouTube with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing.